Willow, would you like to say hello to my audience? This is Willow. She doesn't like to be held, so she's not going to be joining us on camera today. She is sitting right below my feet though. What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about Camp Cretaceous Season 1. This is a review and analysis. I will be telling you guys about my opinion. There is going to be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched Season 1 yet, I highly recommend watching this series because it is a great series and it is canon to Jurassic World. I'm going to be doing this video episode by episode, and I'm going to be talking about characters, their arcs, and the plot lines. Alright, let's get into episode 1. In this episode we are first introduced to who, in my opinion, is the protagonist, being Darius. Darius wins a trip to Camp Cretaceous for winning a video game. Darius is a bit of a dino nerd, and we know that his dream, along with his father's, was to go to Jurassic World. Later we're introduced to the rest of the camp fam, which is Brooklyn, Sammy, Yasmina, and Ben. We are introduced to Kenji, but that's after Dave and Roxy, who are co-head counselors. Kenji is introduced later, just a couple minutes later, because he's a rich kid and has to come down on a helicopter. Brooklyn is at Camp Cretaceous because she's a YouTuber and she's giving exclusive behind the scenes details about Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World. Sammy is there because her family supplies the meat for the dinosaurs at the park. Yasmina is there because Jurassic World is her athletics sponsor. She's an athlete, athletics, whatever. Ben is there because his mum works for Mizrani, but we don't find that until later down in the season. As much as I would give this entire series a 5 out of 5 stars, I will only give this episode a 3 out of 5 stars because this mostly just builds up the characters and the world building that we already know, and the characters just, they don't do much other than see a few herbivores, and then at the end Kenji is trying to impress Brooklyn and ends up in the velociraptor pen. Basically, Kenji's just stupid. There's not much else to say about this episode. My favorite trio though is at the end of this episode, which is Brooklyn, Kenji, and Darius. I love these three together. Absolutely the best trio. Darius and Ben are my favorite characters. Ben's character is absolutely hilarious with his little like yes at a 8 p.m. bedtime, I think, or lights out, whatever, same thing. I'm sure his bedtime is normally like 7 and he's made that decision for himself. I do like that Roxy takes nothing from Kenji. That's very funny. Don't like Kenji and Brooklyn in this episode. I don't particularly like Brooklyn at all in the series in general. I do start liking Kenji because he has more character development as the campers go on. What I do like about this as well is that it does give us more of a behind the scenes of what else was going on in Jurassic World before it went down. Alright, episode 2. I hate this episode. Not a huge fan. It's not as bad as season 4 though, but we'll get to that in a completely different video next week. This episode is just Kenji being an idiot. He's just so stupid. He's getting into these reckless little situations, getting attacked by a velociraptor at the beginning of the episode, dragging Darius into this, and getting Darius and Kenji almost eaten by a Carnotaurus. But we do get the name Toro out of this, and Toro is great. We love Toro. I rate this episode a 2 out of 5 stars. Not a huge fan, but it is still Camp Cretaceous and our beloved characters. We do get to know them a little more. There's the genetics lab, and we're introduced to Bumpy. Ben imprints on Bumpy when she is born. I mostly don't like this episode, 1 for Kenji's stupidity, and 2 because we already know all this information that Brooklyn is finding out about the Indominus Rex. We know that from the original movies. Whilst it is nice to see like the correlation between Jurassic World and Camp Cretaceous, it's too much repetition for me, in my opinion. Although it does set up later plot lines for Sammy and her sketchiness. By far the best part of this is Ben and Bumpy, and then he names it, and then Dave finds it really cute that he names it, but then Dr. Wu squishes Bumpy in his hand. Doesn't doesn't kill Bumpy, but it does hurt Bumpy, and it's very obvious. She's very uncomfortable. Protect Bumpy at all costs. I don't particularly like that Dr. Wu was changed. His character was kind of changed in Camp Cretaceous. It does give us more in-depth, gives us more about his character and how he is in the movies. I just don't like the general theme of them changing Dr. Wu in the Jurassic World franchise in general. I don't like how they continue it in Camp Cretaceous. But that's just my own opinion. At the end of this episode, we do get someone putting a USB on like a drone. And I've seen a lot of speculation that it was Sammy, especially in season 4, but it doesn't look like her at all. So I disagree with that. We might find that out in season 5. Alright, episode 3. This episode definitely gets a 4 out of 5 stars because camp fam bonding. I love every episode that they bond the campers together and develop their relationships further. I do notice that in the series altogether that they do make sure that different combinations of the kids are together and developing their relationship, which I find super cool. This one we get Darius and Brooklyn, Kenji and Ben, Yaz and Sammy. This is where we get to find out more about the characters, especially Sammy and Yaz. I love this episode just because it is definitely a behind the scenes of what we didn't get to see in the Jurassic World movie before the park went down. We get to see like the gyrospheres and how they herded the herbivores. And we do get to see Brooklyn and Darius bond because they almost die. This is one of many occasions where they will almost die and get into really stupid trouble. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Brilliant camper bonding. We do get what will later be used as narration in the last episode from Darius's story, which I think is really great foreshadowing and usage of like later stories foreshadowing. You know, you get what I mean. Episode 4. I like this episode because we get more of a background on Darius and what happened with his dad. We understand that he's passed away. From what I think it might have been cancer. They handle very heavy topics in a children's show. Personally, I think it's quite well to create more of a in-depth 3-dimensional character for Darius. And we now understand why Jurassic World is so very important to Darius. This is the episode where that Jurassic World is destroyed and the Indominus Rex first gets out. So this is like the first little part of the Jurassic World movie. And we all love trauma bonding. So they get trauma bonded in this episode basically from their camp being destroyed. Darius loses his raptor necklace. They all almost die to the Indominus Rex. I give this episode a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Just because it is repetition that I don't like from the movie, but it is giving us a different perspective of what happened during the movie. An honorable mention in this episode is the camouflage Indominus Rex. Didn't actually expect them to animate the camouflage that they have in the first movie, in the Jurassic World first movie. Pretty great. I didn't actually see it the first time I watched, and sometimes I still don't see it immediately. When I rewatched the series, I think that's pretty good animation right there. Another honorable mention of that episode is that Tora's broken out and is about to enact its revenge on the campers. I love that a different dinosaur is a very prevalent villain or antagonist against these kids instead of like Rexy or the Indominus Rex. Whilst they still are in the episodes, they are not really the main one, much like Tora is. Episode 5. This very much gets a 4 out of 5 stars. I rated this episode so high because it has my favorite image. If you pause at the right moment while they're escaping the Indominus Rex, the first time when they first get into the van, you pause it as they're going over the cliff and they're all like flying in the van. Pause at the right moment. Everyone's reactions are different. Even Bumpy has a reaction, and it is the best thing I've ever witnessed. The best animation ever. Whoever the animation team was on that, you are the best. Thank you for giving me that scene. I do appreciate the whole all the van scenes and Eddie dying. To me that was kind of funny because he was quite selfish. I do feel that the adults won't help kind of stupid, to be honest. They're kids and there's kids watching this, and I realized that so many stories are like appointing the kids as the leaders rather than the adults, but I think it's really dumb to just appoint kids who are like 13 as the leaders of to keep themselves alive. It's just stupid. I hate it. We do get more of Dr. Brew's evil plans, and that will later see in season 2 and 3. Maybe it's 3. I'll have to rewatch it, but I can't remember. I haven't rewatched those seasons yet. And like I said, Bumpy is back. We love Bumpy, the little animal companion that is helping them basically survive the whole thing because of her instincts. She knows when the Indominus Rex or any other animals are around. Episode 6. This is my favorite episode in the entire season. I love the bioluminescent Parasaurolophuses and the Mosasaurus. Parasaurolophuses are my favorite dinosaurs. We start this episode with Sammy's secrets, and we're introduced to this new Manticorp sort of idea. We don't know too much about this. I think we're going to get more information in season 5, other than Manticorp was trying to get DNA of dinosaurs off of Jurassic World so they could manufacture their own dinosaurs. And they sent Sammy as blackmail because her family needed money. Yasmina is just my trust issues. We love that. I would react the exact same as Yaz. Even though someone else should be helping Dave and Roxy find the kids, and I find that dumb, I do love this episode so much. You know, there's bonding with Yaz saving Darius and Sammy from being eaten by the Mosasaurus. Yaz breaking her ankle because of it. And Kenji, wow, has a good point that Brooklyn shouldn't be mad at Sammy about the phone because Sammy's already so upset. Like, how does Kenji even have a point? Like, isn't that... Wow, I can't believe Kenji actually had a point because Kenji is dumb. Alright, 5 out of 5 stars for the dinosaurs, the Parasaurolophuses and the Mosasaurus. Great job. Love that episode. Episode 7, 0 out of 5 stars. I'm sorry, you endangered Ben. How dare you endanger the best character in this show? Yeah, I know it's for character development later on, and he becomes even more of my favorite character because of that. But Ben! We get more Toro scenes here. You know, this is really heavy plot armor. Like, throughout this entire series, they have super heavy plot armor, but this Toro scene where they're trying to get to the monorail to get to the evacuation spot on time, they would not have survived that. I will say 10 out of 10 for Dave and Roxy continuing to try and find the kids despite there being no help whatsoever for them. And 10 out of 10 once again for Ben's character arc. He goes and saves them from the pterodons. He switches off the lights. No, he doesn't switch off the lights. He switches the rails in the switchy place, the control panel. That's what it's called. There's some real camper bonding. I really did think there wasn't going to be an extra season to this because I really thought they were going to get off the island, but they didn't. I do have one question for this episode though. So if Ben works for Mizrani, if Ben's mom works for Mizrani, what happened to her? Was she on the island when it went down? Did she not go looking for Ben? What happened to Ben's mom? I just want to know. Episode 8. 1 out of 5 stars because Ben is alive at the end. I hate the blame game they play in the tunnels about everything that's happening. I just find that absolutely ridiculous. I do know that this episode is supposed to be setting up for them for the next season, for them to be stuck on the island. But there's heavy plot armor and just not much of the characters talking too much, just escaping Toro. Although it is still Camp Cretaceous, so you gotta still love it. Altogether, Camp Cretaceous is just a really good sort of series. Altogether, the series does really make up everything it is. Like, you really have to put it all together for you to actually love it. It's very bingeable. The episodes are only 25 minutes long, which is brilliant. So you'll be able to watch so many episodes in just a day. Altogether, 5 out of 5 stars for Camp Cretaceous season 1. Although not my favorite season, I think season 2 and 3 are more my favorites, which I'm very excited to do those videos. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. I will be uploading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday about everything film, books, and video games, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.